Hey everybody, I am here with my next review in the On Wax review series. Today I will be talking about Come Around and Love Me by Jalen Ngonda, a UK-based American soul singer who obviously, if you guys are familiar with Elton John's show he does on Apple Music, Rocket Hour, he often has on new, interesting artist who he finds to be, a new great voice in the music industry. And I happened to be scrolling on Instagram one day, and I came across part of the interview with Jalen Ngonda, and I was like, okay, let me look into this record, see what people are saying. And on the site I used to log my music, it had very good ratings, so I was like, oh, I should check this out. Not really knowing what to expect per se, but my goodness, as soon as this thing started, I was just in awe. As soon as the first song started, the title track, I literally thought I was listening to something off of What's Going On. I am not even kidding. Because the thing that is so amazing about Jalen Ngonda is he sounds like he could have been plucked out of the 60s or 70s. It sounds like his entire sound feels like it could have been pulled off the Tamla label from Motown back in the early 70s. It's like from the backing vocals, from the instrumentation, from the structures, it feels like a great Jackson 5, Miracles, Supreme song, what have you, but more than anything, Marvin Gaye, because my goodness, not only is the songs very similar in that vein, but this guy's voice is like a mix of Eddie Kendricks from The Temptations, but better, if you ask me, and Marvin Gaye, of course. And then I would also say that rawness that Michael Jackson had in his voice all fused into one. And it's just unbelievable, the vocal talent on this guy. And also just instrumentally speaking as well. I'm not sure how many instruments he played on this album, but my goodness, it sounds so flawless in execution from that standpoint. And just that, the first couple songs, the title track and If You Don't Want My Love, are just incredible. Really, as I said, feels like it could have just been picked out of that era. It could have just fit with any of those records seamlessly. And especially the second song, you just listen to the hook on that. And not only is it so good, but you're like, this is so timeless. How was this not written before? You know what I mean? Because it seems like they come from another place entirely. This kind of stuff isn't being written today in such a classic style, which I absolutely love about the sound and the songs on this album. And especially when you get to right in the middle of the album, just like you used to. Oh my goodness, that song's chord progression is just absolutely sublime and orgasmatic. It really is so lush, so incredible, so laid back, so sexy. I can't even describe. I guess that's the best I can do, describing it in words and doing justice to just how beautiful and classic this song is. This probably is my favorite song on the entire record. But of course, that leads into what a difference she made. Which probably, because this is the one thing with the album, lyrically, you're not getting anything super crazy, right? But then again, you weren't back in the day with Motown either, so it's kind of like the same thing. But this song, I think he dives a bit deeper, talking about this girl who has done so much for him and kind of insinuating some stuff about her background. And, there's a bit underneath it that I think stands out from the rest of the songs on this album. And some of the most beautiful lyricism on this entire thing comes right in the middle of this song. It's just absolutely amazing. And then the song right after that, Give Me Another Day. I mean, just that 1, 2, 3 punch right in the middle to latter half of this album really, really draws me in. It's just really classic in the best sense. I know I keep saying it, but that's truly how I feel about this record and why I'm shocked no one has heard about him yet. And then the last couple songs are really interesting. It Takes a Fool and Rapture. And I don't quite love It Takes a Fool, but the interesting thing about these tracks is there's I think it's a guitar being played through a fuzz box. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it really makes it stand out a bit more instrumentally than some of the other songs. But when you listen to the last song on here, Rapture, as soon as it kicks off, it really sounded like, with the bongos and the bass line just really driving the song, it really sounded like the Funk Brothers were playing on this thing. Because I thought to myself, I'm like, is that James Jamerson? You know, like, it really is that good, the bass work on this album. But everything, the lush strings, the beautiful harps, everything in the background. I think there's even like some form of like bells and glockenspiel or something on these songs, just as you'd expect from an album from that era of time. It's just unbelievable, as I said, that something like this could have been made today, and it's very different from An Evening with Silk Sonic, because as classic as that is, it sounds a bit more polished and modernized, a little bit more than this album does. And if I were to have any critiques with this album, I would say, obviously, lyrically you're not getting too much, and obviously he wears his influence on his sleeve to the point where it's like it is a bit derivative. And that's why I'm hoping that from this point onward he isn't a bit of a one-trick pony, because this guy's voice is just absolutely incredible. Because even though he's channeling, you know, that high register of Eddie Kendricks, and of course just that power inherent in Marvin Gaye's voice, he really does kind of stand on his own from a vocal standpoint. And I really can't wait to see what this guy does next, because, you know, like, I'm all about you know, discovering new music and sharing that with everybody, which is why I knew I had to come on and talk about this record. It probably is one of the best albums of the decade so far, if you ask me, and I really cannot wait to see what this guy does next, because if he's making stuff this classic, I am in 100%. So yeah, I'm going to give Come Around and Love Me an 8.5 out of 10. Really, it's easily the best album I've heard so far this year. I absolutely love this thing. Definitely will be spinning this from time to time. Just some of these songs, man, it just really just stays with you. I mean, some of the hooks are already implanted in my head after only hearing this album all the way through a couple of times. So that should really tell you the mark of a great vocalist, artist, what have you, songwriter. Just a great, great album that you should all definitely check out. I don't want this one to be overlooked, because it seemingly has, but I feel like everybody who's listened to it really has ended up loving it for the most part, or at least really, really enjoying it. Even Elton John. So yeah, guys, that's my review for Come Around and Love Me by Jalen Ngonda. Of course, if you're tuning in for the first time, please smash the like button. I hope to bring more album reviews soon. I know I'm a bit more inconsistent with that than I am with movie reviews, but rest assured, I will be bringing you more reviews of albums later down the line throughout the year. And yeah, guys, until the next video, I'll see you later. Peace.